Well, hello, Facebook friends and family. Today is day 17 of 21. We are almost at the end. Can you believe it's been 17 days already that I have come to you live? My hope had always been for 15, 20 minutes. Obviously, it's been a little bit more than that, sometimes 22, 25, 30. But these are such important topics because we're on this adulting roller coaster of life. And emotions and thoughts and beliefs get the better of us. And so sometimes it's just incredibly tough to maneuver through. And so I thought that I would come to you for these 21 days in order to give you these little tidbits. Hello, Connie. Hello, Vicky. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you all. All right, so today's topic, we're going to dive right in, is self-worth. And this is an absolutely enormous one that really trips up a lot of people because it prevents a lot of people from being able to kind of follow their dreams and step into their power and use their voice and really live their potential and thus live their infinite possibilities. And you know I'm all about infinite possibilities in people. I am the biggest champion and believer in human beings. And as a therapist for the last 22 plus years, it has been extremely heartbreaking and very difficult to kind of watch person after person come into my office and recognize that they're really just struggling to believe in themselves and step into their own possibility and power. And that is one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this over these 21 days, is just to kind of help people understand there are absolute tools out there to help you manage through as you're dealing on this adulting roller coaster. So something you have little to none of them. Vicky, you know, you are an amazing, dynamic woman. And to hear that is just always so sad to me and heartbreaking for me to hear, because just like you and so many others, we are born worthy and valuable. But along the way, we learn to not believe in that and to not see ourselves as worthy and valuable. So hello, Daisy. Hello, Dawn, Tracy. Thank you guys for popping in. Okay, so let's dive into what self-worth really is then. So for the last 2 days, we started talking about the selves. First was self-confidence. Then yesterday we talked about self-esteem, and today is self-worth. So I'm going to recap really quickly because I want you to see how they're all tied together, even though they're very distinct and separate. Self-confidence is that experience. I know how to ride a bike. I haven't ridden a bike for 20 years, but I know once I get back on it, it will come back to me. I've done it before. I know that I had done it pretty well when I had done it. So I'm confident that I will be able to ride that bike again. The selves go hand in hand. They sure do. Then we have self-esteem, which we talked about yesterday, which is the belief in self, okay? And that is like, I know I'll be a good student. I believe, whatever, that I would be a good student body president. Well, how would I know that? Well, I know my values and my heart, and I know what I want for the student body, and I believe that I would do a good job, and I believe that I have good support, okay? But then we get into today, which is self-worth. And self-worth is about the deservingness. Do I deserve this, whatever it is? Am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Am I valuable enough? And how we determine that is really tricky, because this is based on all the beliefs and the expectations that we have learned to adapt and take in from other people. Now, I have asked you guys in the last couple of days and various times throughout these last 17 days anyway, to write down kind of the beliefs that you hold about yourself. And we're going to talk about something just slightly different with beliefs with respect to self-worth, because we don't develop our own beliefs about ourselves based on just what we experience. We also take on what other people believe And we hear those things, and then we kind of fit it and mold it based on our experience as well, that then develops whether or not we have self-worth or not, whether or not we feel deserving. For example, if I heard my parents always talk about money in a negative way, and I heard them say things like, oh, you have to work hard to make money, and you have to work your whole life in order to have anything that you want, I am going to pick up that belief. It's not what I believe about myself, like I'm a strong person or I'm compassionate or I'm kind. This is a set of beliefs, values, ideals that I'm hearing from other people that I then take potentially as my own and go, oh yeah, you have to work hard in order to have anything. So let's say then I grow up and I start working hard and I don't have the things that I want, and I'm working hard. And I remember that belief that if you work hard, then you will have the things you want. And I see that I am working hard, but I don't have the things that I want in my life. Then I come to conclusions and say, well, it must be me. I'm not working hard enough. Or I have tried in love many times and I keep picking the wrong relationships, the wrong partners, and I keep getting hurt. It must be me, because maybe I watched other people have solid relationships and I thought, oh, well, if I just do the same things they're doing, then I will have the relationship too. And so I go out and I start doing it, but I'm not getting the relationships. And so then I go, oh, it must be me. I'm not good enough. And this goes into the deserving piece, that somehow my worth and my value, my good enoughness, my enoughness in any area of my life is tied to how I have lived my life so far. When really it's about the internal beliefs that we hold about ourselves. So it's part of those strengths that you may have, I hope, written down, but it's also part of those limitations and those weaknesses that you've now taken and said, these are absolutes about me and they cannot change. And then we add to that the beliefs we hear from other people and the expectations that we hear from other people. And we create this whole scenario that says, see, it means I'm unworthy. I'm not valuable. I don't deserve this. Or, okay, this is kind of a crazy story, but when I was about 12 years old, my family, we were avid outdoors people. We camped every weekend, and I wasn't afraid of nature in any way, shape, or form. I didn't necessarily play with critters and creatures, right? But I wasn't afraid. And when I was about 12, we were traveling and went to Florida, where my grandparents lived, to show them a new trailer that my parents had just bought. And while I was sitting in the truck waiting, and I hope this doesn't freak anybody out, it sure freaked me out, a huge spider crawled up the inside of my pant leg, and it bit me on the inside of my right knee. And I felt this sting, and I grab it instinctually, right? And I feel this big massive something. So I go into the trailer and I go into the bathroom and I take my pants off and I see this little legs and I throw it in the bathtub. And of course I'm screaming and I'm hollering and all that. And my parents and grandparents take care of it and all is well in the world. And it wasn't poisonous and nothing bad happened. But from that point forward, I became terrified of spiders, phobic, to the point where I'd sit on a recliner with a rocking recliner with my knees up to my chest. If I saw tiny little spiders around, because if I couldn't get them, I would be like, I was very phobic. And what happened was I then caught a spider and I did some horrible things to it. We'll just say that. I was not a nice, loving, giving person. I did not honor that little creature. I killed it in a kind of brutal fashion, okay? Because I was trying to get out my fear, right? I'd seen this spider then, and I was like, and I was like, evil little things. And okay, now I'm sharing this story with you because years later, when I finally got over my phobia and my fear of spiders, now I catch them and release them, right? even if they're big. I work to catch them and release them. And I have had spiders crawl in my office before, near around clients, and I didn't freak out. I didn't go, ah, and I didn't want to scare them. So I just would stand up and go over there, and I would kind of catch them. And then I would say, excuse me for a moment. And I would go let them outside. And then I would come back to our session. And what had happened was, for a long time, that incident caused me to believe about myself that I was a horrible person, that I was evil and mean. Not evil like, going to hurt people, but that I had this evilness in me, and I was mean and I was nasty because I had done this thing. So I had started to beat myself up because of this fear I had and what I had done with this little poor spider, that I started to believe about myself that I was this bad person, and that's why bad things were happening in my life. So I connected my deservingness and my worth to things that I experienced or participated in, and then came to conclusions and said I was this bad, horrible person. And this is what happens when we're dealing with self-worth, is that we take our own beliefs about ourselves, we take the beliefs and really the values that other people have about things like relationships and working and college and being an adult and being a parent. Oh my gosh, how many times as a parent have our parents maybe said, you shouldn't do that, or you should do this with your child. And yet we feel totally comfortable doing this thing with our child. They're our child. We know their likes and dislikes, whatever ages they are, but our parents have their own opinion. So we hear these beliefs growing up, and then we start to adopt them as our own and say, oh, that means I'm a bad person, or I'm doing it wrong, or I'm not a good parent. And then we start getting into that diminishment of the self-worth and the feelings of value and deservingness, and it stops us from living our life. It stops us from having our voice. It stops us from standing in our power, and it absolutely stops us from living in our potential and our possibility and pursuing our dreams, because we just don't think that we're good enough. Or another common example is that we have friends who we do so much for them, but they don't do for us. And then we feel like that means that I'm not a good friend, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable enough to be their friend, because look at how they are or aren't treating me. And I've had that happen in my life many times, where I felt like I was a better friend, better than someone else. And my mother said something to me very importantly when I was a teenager. And she said, you can't expect people to behave toward you the way you behave toward them. Meaning, if you choose to be a friend to them by doing XYZ, you can't expect them to do XYZ and have it mean that they're your friend. They will be your friend how they will be your friend. It's your choice to do XYZ. But that's not what we do in life. What we do is we look at those things and then we say, oh, that means they're not my friend because they didn't reach out to me, or they didn't call, or they didn't show up when I had surgery, or something like that. And it doesn't mean any of that at all. But yet, because of all the beliefs and the experiences that we watch other people have while we're growing up, and we have as children and teenagers and then young adults, we start to discern, oh, that means we are not good enough, or we're not lovable, or we're not worthy, or we're not valuable. So some of the things, let's see, some of the things, hello, Tammy, hello, Amanda. So some of the things that you guys can do when you're looking at kind of working through self-worth issues, you try so hard to remember that not everyone has the same heart as I do, and that needs to be okay. That shouldn't define me. Absolutely, Amanda, it shouldn't define you. But because of these belief systems that we've listened to from our parents and our teachers and peers and TV and movies and music and you name it, this is how we take the world in when we're children. and when we're young adults, right? And and teenagers when we're growing up. And so if we hear these things over and over and over again, we start to believe and think that it's us. And so the bottom line is you're the one that lays your head down on the pillow at night. So you have to be happy with who you are as a person that says, I want other people to treat me the same, and I want other people to love and like me. But if they don't, it's not going to define me. I'm still going to behave the way I do because it's in my heart to do that. I need to be that kind of a friend. I need to be that kind of a partner. I need to be that kind of an employee. I need to be that kind of business owner, or whatever situation it might be. And basically, screw everybody else if they're not. Okay. So what are some of the solutions? Well, they're similar to a lot that we've been doing already. The important thing is to kind of write down all the expectations and the beliefs that you've learned about yourself or from others, right? You're so smart, Susan. Oh, you're so kind, Susan. Oh, you're a very compassionate person, Susan. Well, do I believe those things about myself too? Those go from your strengths lists from, I think, day 14, when I asked you to write down all the strengths and the positive things that you like about yourself. So those are part of that, but these are also beliefs about that we've adopted from other people, like, you're a woman, therefore you're supposed to be the nurturer. You're supposed to be the mom who takes care of the house and the children. You're supposed to be on top of all their appointments and take them back and forth to all their various activities. Little things we hear like that says, oh, I'm this woman and I'm in this relationship with these children, therefore I am supposed to do XYZ. So it could be the beliefs that we hear from others too. So write all those things down. Then ask yourself, are they yours? Are they 100% yours? Do you 100% believe this to be a truth in your life? Does it feel in alignment with your heart? Does it feel right for you? Or is it a belief you learned from somebody else? And you believed that you had to believe it because they were a person of authority in your life, like a parent. Or they drilled it into you that you better believe these things, because if you don't, then there will be this negative consequence. Like, one of the common ones that I think often is religion, right? I'm the parent. We raise our children in a certain religion, and all of a sudden you come to me when you're older and you tell me you have a different belief, and I just flip a lid. I call you names. I get mad at you. I might even say that you're not my child anymore, or that I don't want to talk to you, or how could you, or I might berate you. Lots of things happen like that because parents or people, adults, may have their own opinions about things, and they can be very strong and forceful with other people in sharing that opinion and belief, and set the stage and cause the other person to feel really bad because they believe something different. It's not honoring at all to listen to other people and have them disagree with you. It's not honoring if I'm trying to force my thoughts and opinions and beliefs on you. So are these beliefs that you hold 100% yours, or did you learn them from somebody else? Then you need to look at, why would I choose and want to believe this? If this thing that I believe about myself is hurting me or causing me to kind of hold myself back from following my dreams and living my life and living my potential, why would I choose to want to still believe this? Am I still choosing to believe this? And kind of asking, like, why? And if you need to go back to your Italian families are like that. Oh, very much so, right? My husband's full-blooded Italian. Now that's a whole other story, but I hear that, like, part of my husband, as amazing and wonderful of a human being as he is, and I love him dearly, there is a part of him that, due to his growing up years, developed the belief that you are supposed to hold grudges against people if they wrong you. And it has taken him many years to get to a place where he can let it go much faster than he ever used to. Now, will he ever let it go right off the bat like maybe I can? Probably not. But that's part of his ingrained conditioning. And again, that's one of the whole reasons why I'm doing these lives, is to help you learn that you can basically decondition from your entire life. You basically can learn slowly, and it takes time and it takes practice with doing lots of these exercises to begin working through those pieces that can then break down some of those beliefs and those thoughts that you have about yourself and the world around you, that will allow you to step into your power and your passion and your purpose and your potential, all the P's, right? And your possibility. Wow, that's a lot of P's. I never said it like that before. Pretty cool. So see, I learn something new every day. So if you need to go back to your strengths list from the other day, or if you do it today, whenever, that's fine. But you need to kind of take a look at those strengths. If you find that you're still choosing to believe like, I'm not good enough, then let me go back to the strengths lists and see, well, wow, I'm compassionate and I'm loving and I'm integral and I'm authentic and I'm caring and I'm loving. Okay, so why am I not good enough? Why would I want and choose to still believe I'm not good enough? Just because all this outside stuff happens out here, or people say that, oh, well, I don't want to be friends with you, or I don't want to hire you, or I don't want you in my life, or I don't want to come to your party, or I don't want to, sorry, I'm all of a sudden had a bunch of weird pop-ups and it distracted me for a second. Or I don't want to go with you to this function on Friday night, and then all of a sudden we walk away feeling hurt and sad because somebody doesn't want to go with us to a function. Oh my God, how about Facebook, right? Like we make a post and we look at the likes. Oh my God, nobody liked it. Or only had 2 people like it, and I have 200 friends. Or even these lives. I do lives, right? Let's say I defined myself by how many views I had. Oh my God, what would happen to my life and how I saw myself if I saw that my videos only had 30 views or 100 views or 200 views, when I see other people have these videos who have thousands of views or 500 views? You see my point? And so what happens then is we kind of extrapolate. We take all that information and we pull it in and define ourselves by that and say, oh, that means I'm not good enough, or I'm not worth anything. I'm not valuable. And so, oh, thanks, Vicki. Thank you, hon, for popping in. Enjoy work. I'll talk to you later. Julie, hello, welcome. Thank you for popping in. All right, so the last question to ask then is, why wouldn't I deserve this, right? If you notice that you're still choosing, or that you still believe that you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, or you're not valuable, the next question to ask is, why wouldn't I deserve this? And if you're unsure of that answer, which is totally fine, then write down, what does a deserving person look like? What would an ideal person who deserves it then look like? Because I'm pretty sure that you're going to see there's no difference between you and them. You might say things like, well, a deserving ideal person who is worthy would have, you know, a relationship that lasted a long time, or would have kids that listen to them, or would have a good running car, or a nice home, or a good job, or money in the bank. The list is endless. I could go on for days about that, right? Because that list is infinite. But the truth is that there is no ideal normal. There is no ideal person who deserves anything. And I'm not wanting to make this just a rah-rah kind of session today. But here's the truth about self-worth. Because it's based on the deservingness of how we see ourselves. Do I deserve this? That is all internal. It is all within us. And it's stuff we've taken from the outside and pulled inward, but it's still all within us. There is not a single, people can tell you that you're a piece of shit, or you're unworthy, or you're not valuable enough because you didn't do X, Y, Z, but that's their belief and their opinion. If you take that on as your own and let it define you, it will become your own belief and thought about yourself, which will then diminish your self-worth and your own feeling of deservingness. Does that make sense? I hope. Okay, give me some hearts or give me some love if you're still listening and that makes sense. Or type in the box, although I'm sure there's a delay. All right, so we're sitting at 25 minutes today. It's longer than I usually want. I don't think I've made it to 15 or just 20 the whole time I've been doing this. Absolutely agree. Awesome. So remember, you write down all the expectations and beliefs that you have about yourself or that others have had that you believe you've adopted. You take a look at, are they 100% yours? And if not, whose were they and where did you learn them from? Then you take a look at why you would want to still believe that or why you're choosing to still believe that. Does it feed something in you? Does it help you keep away from something that scares you? So it's easier to believe I'm not valuable or worthy enough than it is to go out and take a risk on yourself or a chance in your life, whatever it might be. And then look at, why wouldn't I deserve this? Now, I'm not big on the woulda, shoulda, couldas. You guys know that. But this is one area where the shoulds and the woulds and the coulds are a little important, because it's, why wouldn't I deserve this? What does that ideal person look like who would deserve it? What's the difference? And see if you can start seeing kind of the challenges in how you're thinking in that. Okay, so people pleasers, absolutely. Makes sense. Love to hear that. Thank you so much, Amanda and Dawn. That is perfect. People pleasers are they struggle with a sense of self-worth because they're too afraid to have their own voice, and they will just do for others to avoid the confrontation, because to them the confrontation means I'm not good enough somehow if I voice my opinion, and then there's a problem or they don't like me because of it, right? So how to rewire. All my life I was told I wasn't worthy. Grew up never feeling anything but negative and almost could have made my parents proud. So makes sense. Oh, Amanda, I'm so sorry, sweetheart, that you have had to kind of live through that set of experiences. It's very, very challenging when we're on this adult roller coaster then of all these emotions and all these life experiences to let go of all that stuff. But there are ways to do it. And this is exactly why I've created this 21 days of coming to you with these short little snippets. We could go really super deep and do a lot of stuff together, right? Maybe not you and I personally, but I'm saying overall in general. But it's a process and it takes time, and you guys have to be willing to be kind to yourself in the process. I really seriously don't think you would still be here listening to me if this didn't resonate for you, and if you didn't know down deep that you were and are a valuable, worthy person who deserves to understand how to really stand in that place of belief. Okay, so that's it for today. Still longer than I wanted, but it's all good, right? I love you all. I thank you so much for being here. Tomorrow I will be back, but I won't be here at 2. I will be here at 10 a.m. Central Time. I have lots of things going on tomorrow, and there's just no way I could come at the normal time. So tomorrow we will be looking at resolving conflict, which is something so many people are afraid of, that confrontation, and even confronting ourselves. It'll be 10 a.m. Central Time, same Bat Cave here on Facebook. For now, I hope you have a worthy, valuable, loving day. Be kind to yourself. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Ciao for now.